Hi, and welcome to Earth Space. My name is Cameron Huffman, and I will be your student's Earth Space science teacher for at least this fall semester, hopefully all year. I apologize for the delinquency of this video. I lost my voice this week, as you may hear, and I was really hoping that it was going to come back by the time this video came up. But as you can tell, you're going to have to bear with me. A few highlights that I'd like to address in our course. If you get into our course page, the very first thing I have listed here is my contact information. I really encourage your kids to come in and speak with me in person. It's really helpful to have those conversations one-on-one. That way, an email isn't sitting in my email inbox and there's an issue that a student, might have that kind of festers until I can get to it in email. If you come in person, that way we're going to be able to address that like right away. That's going to reduce the anxiety and any miscommunication that can happen between us and get us off and rolling and get us going back on the right foot. If a student ever wants to email us on their personal email, there it is available to you. They're also able to message us through their Canvas courses. That link is directly right there provided. And then I also included my extension to voicemail. If you have a question, a concern, I'm happy to have you reach out via email or in person. I'm sorry, email in person. Yeah, that works too. And then in voicemail as well. Any way that you see fit is going to work for me. A little bit about me. This is my second year at Carmel High School. I taught 10 years previously at Bishop Chatard High School, where I did Earth and Space, AP Environmental Science, and a slew of other courses. So I really enjoy Earth Space. My major is in geology from DePaul University, and Rock's Rock. This is a good class, and I'm excited that your kid's taking the leap into Earth Space and that we have the year to work together. In our syllabus, a few highlights that I would like to have you take note of. I'm going to go through and talk about attendance. It is important to me on lab and test days that I hear from your student and we get a plan in place to make up for that missing class time. Labs are just very, very difficult to make up. I try to put as much information as I'll show you in a little bit on our Canvas page for students to follow along. But when it's a lab, that classroom experience, that collaboration with their lab mates is super, super critical to their overall understanding of the content and their ability to process it and work with me on it as well. And so I really, really encourage them to come in as soon as possible after that absence if they see that it's a lab day or if it's a test day. If it's test day too, I don't want that test to sit out there untaken and suddenly fester and kind of snowball again on a student where the content builds on itself and maybe we didn't get a test in, maybe you'd been absent a few days and we didn't realize what you didn't know. And suddenly it kept coming up and some of those discrepancies just kept rearing its head. So being on that proactive communication is such an important thing that I try to impress on them to do. Otherwise, if they're not here, my ultimatum is that they're keeping up with the course content. I can go through here, and if I click on these pictures will take you within a click to our day. And days, I don't just add these things up there for my own viewing amusement. These are designed to help kids, whether they're here to go back and look at what we did. There might be some additional videos as resources that they can rewatch some of that content. There might be handouts attached there that if they weren't here, it's an ultimatum that they're keeping up and holding themselves accountable to course content. That way, when they get back, they're ready to go. They hit the ground running, and we can get right to it if they have any questions on the content. But I'm not going to do the hey, what did I miss? Is there anything I need to do type of thing, because that's just my expectation. Is we're trying to hold them responsible to the content, and I know things happen. Life happens, and if it's something that keeps popping up again, that personal communication is that clear communication is such an effective piece that we can all practice. Within these days, you're going to see our daily agenda. But going back to the syllabus and some highlights, we have our first test coming up next week. It should be on Wednesday of next week. And you may hear your students start communicating in some letters you're not used to. I run and I enjoy running this Earth-based class through a standards-based grading where we use E, M, R, L, and N. These might be letters that you and your students aren't familiar with, and they kind of equate to the grade scale if you're really interested through these conversions. But the way I look at it, I'm a big sports junkie. I love Green Bay Packer football. I love my IU Hoosiers. I've been a tennis player my whole life. The way I look at this formative work is that it's just practice. It's a means for them to work with the content and rework it and show that growth, demonstrate that they're fighting for a better understanding of what we're going over. And all that's happening in practice. So that's all going to be in that formative grade category. And then that's preparing them for what's game day, what's their performance day or their match day. And that's going to be our summative assessments. Those might be tests, presentations, those might be projects. But we can allow that feedback and that growth to happen before they get to the test. And so that's where that feedback's critical, that they're using that to improve. And their grading will reflect that improvement. We do a lot of things that I refer to as reassessments in this class, whether they're on test or whether on that formative work. I encourage kids to come in and fight through that process of learning. It's going to be difficult in some aspects, but they'll appreciate that difficulty on the other side. And I appreciate the opportunity to work with them and see them grow. That's a really cool thing to do. That can be primarily during SRT. It's such a valuable time here that Carmel High School offers, like built into the school day, the school week, that kids have direct access to it for those SRT sessions. There's going to be science tutors. There are a lot of resources available in the school for your student to take advantage of, because the last thing I want them to do is feel like they're going at this alone and struggling alone. If they realize that community of learners that's in this classroom, between the group members, their classmates, tutors, myself, and all the other support staff in this building, it's really just an invaluable network that these kids can lean on and find success in. So I encourage you to engage with your students, coursework as much as you can. I would love to get to know you, get to know what your family's about, and I'm looking forward to getting to learn more about your student, and what they're about, what things that they're interested in. Because that's really, what this education game is about, is building some of those, relationships with the content, with the kids, and going forward with those in a meaningful way, and staying in touch with each other, when they leave this classroom, and taking these skills with them when they leave our science department, when they leave this school. Those are some of those valuable connections that I hope you'll jump in with us and let us know if there's any lateral fields that you're in, if there's any earth and space careers that your family is involved in, or that maybe a family member works with. Having those as another network to rely on is such a cool aspect of this course in the school that I'm looking forward to working through this year with your students. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that helps. And again, I appreciate any support that you can give your students through our year, and know that I will be one of their biggest advocates and one of their biggest support networks if they let me. So thank you again, and I hope you